I wanted to do something a little different today and talk about fragrance. I'm not like a big fragrance guy, but I do have some experience. I have a couple different scents that I use, mostly from Margiela and Tom Ford, but I have some others too that we can talk about. My wife is actually really big into perfumes and fragrance, and she's kind of gotten me into it a little bit more, so I can talk about her perspective a little bit too, but I actually kind of wanted to come at this from the angle of someone who is not super into it, so I can kind of talk about like the vibe that these fragrances give me, and also come at it from a men's angle, just because when men do talk about it, they talk about like Dior Sauvage, and that's about it. So I saw a question recently that was about Margiela Replica fragrance specifically, and just what I would recommend as a man. So I think I just jump right into it and start off with By the Fireplace. So this is probably my go-to as far as Margiela Replica is concerned. I really like this scent when I'm going for something that's kind of like a smoky, and so it's interesting. My perception of these fragrances might differ a little bit from the mainstream. I'm purely going off of like my own interpretation, my own vibes. When I smell this one, I kind of get like a punky, just finished smoking cigarettes feel. So like I tend to wear this one when I'm wearing like an Eddie Slimane fit, like a LO1 leather jacket and like ripped skinnies. For whatever reason, I tend to go here. I mean, I think typically like By the Fireplace, people might think of like a more old school, like cigars and stuff. For some reason to me, just the smokiness of this and the vibe it gives me is that kind of like punk, like I said, just finished smoking a cigarette, kind of hanging out around the alley or something. It's honestly, this is actually probably my favorite scent overall. Just something about it. I love the we're gonna give ourselves a little treat. Too alcohol-y. Yeah, I mean, that's the main thing, is like kind of smoky, a little spicy feeling to it. Burning wood and chestnut. Memory in a fragrance. It just gives me that sense of like edginess and almost like it's going to want to pull people in a little bit. The major downside to that one, and I've had this experience with Margiela fragrances in general, is that it does not hang out whatsoever, at least on me. The thing I've come to understand is like everyone's body chemistry is different, so like you kind of metabolize it differently on your skin. So like for me, I'll get like an hour out of that thing, which, you know, par for the course. You know, I spritz it and then I try to do my thing, go out to an event or something, and I know it's going to be gone in an hour. The other thing I'll mention is, so I have a little sample tester of Jazz Club, and I will use this occasionally, but it's a very similar fragrance to me. I just like By the Fireplace a little bit more. I think Jazz Club feels like a little sweeter to me. It's a little like lighter, maybe a little fruitier, if that makes sense. Again, I'm a layman, so like someone could probably tell me like, oh, Jazz Club doesn't have any fruit notes. In fact, okay, it says subtly sweet fragrance, late night lounge, perfectly. Rum, tobacco, so it's like a similar vibe. It's like, honestly, I would try to pick up something like this and test which one you like better. I'll actually link this in the description, but you can get like a sampler kit of these of like 10 different Margiela fragrances. If you're interested in exploring Replica, that's what I would do. It's not expensive, and you get a decent little bit. I think it was like $35 or something like that. Like I said, I'll link it. I think I even saw it was on sale at Sephora, but that's the easiest. I'm not a big fan of like blind buys. You know, you can go off notes online, but that's partly why I'm making this video, is like I'd rather go on the vibes of something than the notes. They just don't help me. But between By the Fireplace and Jazz Club, I would say if you're going for that kind of like edgy, like smoky punk feel, those are kind of the ones I gravitate towards. This one is not one of mine, actually. This is my wife's, but this is Beach Walk. And if I had to pinpoint her fragrance, it is, I mean, it's this basically. It's anything that's like vacation-y, beachy, something like that. So this is like perfect for her. It's that like, feels like you're out in the sun on the ocean. It's got like coconut notes. Whenever I smell coconut, it smells like sunscreen to me, kind of. And that's just out by the beach. Some people might hate that scent. I think for her, it reminds her of being on vacation, happy memories, things like that. It's really funny. There's like an old Seinfeld clip where Kramer's trying to like pitch a fragrance that smells like the ocean, and they like make it deliberately absurd. Like no one will ever want to smell like that. Fools. Fragrance description: sun-kissed salty skin. So she has a bunch like that. I don't know that I'd say as a man you could wear that. It's just, again, it depends on what vibe you're going for. Again, like I said, she also says that they don't last on her at all. Your mileage may vary. I have some fragrances that I don't think last on me from the same line that will last hours and hours, or it'd be like overpowering. Like I said, I always use 2 spritzes of By the Fireplace. Some of them, if I do even one, I'm like, all right, calm down a little bit. I don't ever want to be that dude who you can smell from like 10 feet away. I think it's a bit much. Some other things though, like again, these are all the Eau de Parfum with the white label. I'll maybe throw up a picture, but I also did try, the heck is the name of it? I think Dancing in the Moon. Dancing on the Moon, excuse me. I actually didn't even know that Margiela made Eau de Parfum, which is stronger than Eau de Toilette. But we were in the Margiela outlet, and they had a couple bottles out there, and they look different from these. They're like black, so those should theoretically last longer. I don't own it, but from what I recall, Dancing on the Moon, it was it reminded me of, maybe just because the name is like infecting my brain, but it reminded me of like a dark mystical scent. Actually, I asked my wife for some notes before this, and she described it as ozonic. Which maybe I'll flash up the definition of ozonic up here, but it basically just means like being outside. So I think I'm not too far off if you're being outside at nighttime. I could see picking that one up if I wanted to go for like, again, like a mystical type vibe. Like you're going somewhere you want to feel like mysterious, like going on a blind date at like a dance club or something like that. That could be cool. Or jazz club, because it's called Jazz Club. Yeah, I think, again, that sampler is really where I'd go for Margiela fragrance. Just try them out, see what you think. Go into a Sephora. A lot of those have like testers for Margiela perfumes, but I'd say for my money, By the Fireplace is where it's at. So I also want to talk about a couple other ones, specifically Tom Ford. I have a couple. So starting with Oud Wood, this was the first one I got. Speaking of perfumes that do not last on me, this thing is gone in 60 seconds. And it's funny because these are Eau de Parfum. The parfum ain't parfumin'. So it's an oud fragrance, which as I understand it is like a line of fragrance. Like oud is a scent. This is all hearsay, but I've also heard some people debate, oh, it's a synthetic oud, it's a real oud, whatever. I've also seen like notes of cardamom, but what it boils down to me is I actually think these two are kind of similar in the vibe that they're going for. By the Fireplace, Oud Wood. To me, this is the one I'm going for if I want to actually get that sense of like classy, actually By the Fireplace, as ironic as that may be. Old Wood, Sandalwood, it kind of feels like I'm reading in a study or something, with some old money English bastards watching over me because they're afraid I'm going to steal something. That's the vibe that this one gives me. If I'm like going out to a fancy restaurant or something, a lot of time I'm reaching for this. By the Fireplace, I'm using that more if I'm feeling like being a little scuzzy. This one is high class for me. And then similarly, Tobacco Vanille, also Tom Ford, very popular, but weirdly enough, as Oud Wood doesn't last on me at all, this sucker will give you, it's got some balls to it. Also an Eau de Parfum. But yeah, when I first got it, I was like, oh, cool. And I sprayed 2 on myself just because I'm used to the Oud Wood. And I was like, boy, that one got some sillage. Got sillage. Leaches out. This one to me is spicy. It's got a spice to it. Again, Tom Ford just has this thing about him that it feels like I'm wearing a suit. You know, that's just Tom Ford's whole vibe. Wherever I'm going, I'm wearing a suit and I'm trying on a Tom Ford parfum. Fragrance. Cologne? I guess the way I'd kind of delineate these two is like, again, like if it's like a classy establishment, I'm going for the Oud Wood. But if I want to mix it up just the tiniest bit and be a little edgy with it, I'm throwing in the Tobacco Vanille. Again, it's like all of my fragrances, as if you can't tell, my favorite fragrances are these like tobacco smoky vibes, and they're all just gradations of that. So this one, I was surprised at how much though this has like a spicy element to it, more so than any of the other ones. But it's cool. I like it a lot, and I like that for whatever reason this one with my body chemistry is just like cool. It's gonna sit on the surface. The only other one I really want to talk about today is kind of out of left field. This is Eau Fraiche by Versace. You can see it's basically empty, but I keep this around. I got to get a new bottle, obviously, but I keep this around just because, I don't know if I want to be a bummer today, but my brother passed away, very tragically. And I inherited this fragrance from him. There wasn't much in it when I got it, but, I've used it occasionally. It kind of reminds me of him, but also like, I like the scent. I think it's really good. And I use this as my sort of, I don't want to say neutral, but like clean. If I'm just wearing something like clean, I'm not going for like a weird vibe or anything, or like anything like super upscale. I just want to like smell nice for the day. Fresh. I mean, it's called Eau Fraiche. So that's one I would definitely reach to or reach for as a man. I think it's a good like medicine cabinet staple to have in the old collection. So yeah, that's my not super extensive collection, but also just a little rundown on my thoughts on the Margiela line and Tom Ford stuff. Do you guys have a favorite fragrance? Do you find that Margiela lasts on you at all? Because I'm very interested in that, like the body chemistry thing. Seems so weird. Maybe it's not weird as someone who's like more into the perfume scene, but I certainly have a lot to learn from my wife. She's buying a new scent every other week, and you'd think, well, I was about to make fun of her for having so many like beachy scents, but I'm looking at this table. I've got like 4 different smoky sense. So pot calling the kettle black. Anyway, just a quick one today. Have a good one, guys.